Now, it's absolutely no secret to anybody that challenger players are definitely better than you. They're better at making decisions, they're better mechanically, they have better game knowledge. But what if I told you that one of the main reasons why challenger players see so much more success than you is actually how they treat what you might not consider to be a part of the game? If you want your best chance at leveling up your gameplay, you need to check out our website, GameLeap.com. I'm posting anywhere from 10 to 20 guides every single week on various topics: champion-specific guides, lane-specific guides, macro guides, psychology guides. All of this stuff and more you can find on our website. If you're looking to improve as a player, we have something on there for you. If this is something that interests you, make sure to check us out using the link in the description below. Just a friendly reminder to smash that like button and subscribe if you haven't already. Now, without further ado, let's get right into these 5 things that challenger players are doing that you are not. The first 3 things are going to apply to both the ladder and champion select. Now, a lot of you might not agree, but almost every single challenger player understands that the ladder and champion select are a part of the game. If you want to climb the ladder, you have to treat the ladder and champion select as though it is a part of the game. For this reason, even from champion select, we're going to be focused on playing the game, giving ourselves the best chance at winning. Now, what's the number one thing that's going to stop us from winning the game? That's right, losing the game. You can't win the game if you lose the game, and you can't lose the game if you dodge. Now, this is not to suggest that you should just dodge every single game and just never play because, well, then, I mean, if you never play, you obviously can't win the game. But if the game is looking like it's 100% lost, you just need to dodge. If you've got somebody playing Disco Nunu in your game, then you should never play that game. It doesn't matter if it's somebody else's job to dodge. If they're not going to do it, someone has to bite the bullet, and it might as well be you. It's very, very important to understand that you do not lose MMR. You do not get penalized. Your matchmaking rating does not get penalized for dodging. The only thing that you'll see is a change to your rank. But remember, rank is not reflective of your MMR, and even after a dodge, your rank will go back to what it normally would be after anywhere from 5 to 10 games. Remember that your MMR is what drives the ladder. This means that MMR is going to determine how many points you're gaining or losing. So if the system thinks that your rank is below what your MMR is, then you're going to gain more points. Since you dodged, your rank will be lower than your MMR, and your next few wins will give you more points, or your next losses will lose you less points. This allows your rank to catch up to your MMR really fast, even after a dodge. Dodging guaranteed losses frequently prevents you from losing MMR unnecessarily, and it will also just be made up for really quickly. This is why you can see players with really high win ratios, really high into even diamond. They realize that preserving their MMR is way more important than any one dodge. If they prevent themselves from losing, then their MMR is just going to be constantly climbing, and then they know that they can continue to have the insanely high win rate and insanely high MMR, which will then translate to really high LP gains. Remember, you might have negative gains right now, but by utilizing dodging, you can take the worst MMR in the world and turn it into godlike MMR. Now, it's going to take a while to cultivate this because MMR is something that is going to take time to develop. If you start dodging now and avoid any unwinnable games, then by the end of the season, your MMR is going to be absolutely godlike. Even if you win 51% of your games with the MMR you develop, you're definitely going to be gaining LP. Okay, so how do we know if we should dodge a game? Now, of course, there's going to be some very obvious scenarios. For example, when somebody locks Disco Nunu in one of your games. However, there might be some less obvious scenarios. This is where the second tip comes into play, and this is looking up your teammates. If you want the best chance at winning, you should just look up your teammates using op.gg. Now, we're definitely not sponsored by these guys, it's just the site that I personally use. You can use a different statistics site if you want, but op.gg I've found has a really good, easy to use multi-search system where you just copy the lobby and you paste it into the multi-search and it'll spit out everybody's statistics. Now what this does is it allows me to see if there's a player on my team who got autofilled and cannot play the role that they were assigned. Now keep in mind, I'm not suggesting that you should dodge every single game that you get one autofilled player in, because this is just way too much dodging. Nobody wants to put in that much effort. However, if you see somebody that has 20 games on support Lulu and they've got a 9% win rate on it, and then they got autofilled support and they lock in Lulu, you know, chances are you should probably not play that game. You don't have a good shot at winning. While statistics will never tell you whether or not it's possible to win that game, it will tell you how hard it will be to win that game. Likewise, if you have somebody who queues jungle and you know what, they decide, I'm sick of playing jungle, I'm a mid lane Diana main now. And you see and you look at their recent games, they've got a 5% win rate over the last 20 games. It's probably best that you don't play with that player. Just taking a quick glance at the recent statistics in somebody's past 20 games and their overall champion pool will allow you to determine whether or not the game is absolutely doomed or playable. Now, I do want to get serious about something for a second, because one huge way that this strategy goes wrong is a lot of the time a player will look up another player, they'll look at their win rate, and then they'll harass them for it. If you use this strategy to help yourself gain an advantage over the enemy, it does not give you the right to flame somebody else for their win rate or their picks or their statistics in any way, shape, or form. If you're unhappy with how the lobby looks and you decide that it is a dodge, then it's on you to dodge. Remember that most of the time, the person that you think is the main issue is not going to want to dodge. So if you think it's a dodge, just dodge, don't type. It's just going to be toxic. It's going to lead you down the wrong road. Just don't do it. Okay, so what if you just really don't like dodging? You think it's a dishonorable tactic and I only play solo queue with the teammates I've been assigned. Well, more power to you. I don't recommend it, but some people do have this mentality. If you are of this mentality and you don't want to get a player that's just trying random new stuff in your games, then one thing you can do to lower the chances of getting a troll or just a bad teammate overall is duo with somebody. Remember, the name of the queue is solo duo queue. There is no additional prize for only soloing. If you want a duo, then duo. If you don't play as well when queuing with somebody else, that's fine, just solo. Whatever it is, queue in the way that gives you the best advantage, because this is something you're allowed to do. Don't give in to the stupid mentality of, well, so-and-so said that if I duo, my rank doesn't count. Nobody cares what so-and-so said. I climb through the lower ratings while playing duo. Can I play through it solo and still climb? Of course, but I have the best chance of winning because I play duo. Do I care if somebody thinks that it doesn't count because I duoed? Of course not. By the time I get to Challenger, nobody's going to care. The only people that do care will just be laughed at. Pro players duo with each other all the time in solo queue. Is anybody kicking them off the team because they played duo so their rank doesn't count? No. Most people who play at a very high rating have duoed at some point or another. So if you find that you play better and you have a better chance of winning by duoing, then by all means do it. Don't let your salty friend who thinks that your rating doesn't count because you played X amount of games, or you played duo, or you played this champion, or this excuse, or that excuse, or generic excuse number 6. It doesn't matter what other people think. Play the game in the way that gives you the best chance of winning and climbing. At some point, if your goal is to climb, you're gonna have to stop caring about what other people think. Now, I've spent a lot of time on this specific tip, and the reason behind that is because it's the hardest tip for people to accept, and it's probably the most important. Once you get past this mental block, you will feel so free. I know it's so hard to get over this because I had to do it myself. The first time I climbed to Challenger, I did it completely solo, and I had this same warped, twisted mentality and view on the game where if you weren't a solo player that played the meta and didn't one trick and this and that and yada yada yada, then you weren't actually a good player. But in reality, that's just not how things are. If you can stop caring what people think, you're going to improve so much more. You're going to enjoy the game more. You're going to gain more value from replaying games and trying to see the game for the way it actually is. Not everyone can do it, but if you can do it, then it's going to improve your League experience so much, I promise. Alright, next up, we gotta talk about replaying and reviewing your own VODs. This is one of the most important things because playing through the game, you can be very caught up and get focused on certain things. A lot of players focus to the point of tunnel vision, where they just can't actually see what's going on around them. Now, this is not your fault. It is very hard to see the game as a whole. This takes a whole lot of training. Most players do experience tunnel vision, and this is completely okay. It is okay to have tunnel vision in the game, so long as you replay your VODs afterwards. Remember the saying, hindsight is 20/20? You can abuse this by watching your VODs back in hindsight and see what should I have done here. You then apply that knowledge in the next game that you play and improve yourself going forward. If you find yourself tunneling a lot, or you don't have good map awareness, or whatever it is you're lacking because you don't have the overall awareness, then watch your games back because you can do so much with a replay. You're only given a limited amount of information during an actual game, and most people can only focus on a certain percentage of that information. By watching the VOD back, you have access to all information that's going on in that game. This means if you don't understand something, you can just watch it until you understand it. You can enable Fog of War from your own view to see what only you could see at that point in time. You can enable it to see what the enemies can see at that point in time. You can completely disable Fog of War and look at the entire map and see what's going on everywhere. The point is, the amount of information in a VOD review is way more than in the actual game, and you have the time to watch it and then watch it back, not being forced to only play through it in real time. You can soak so much more information from a VOD review than what you can soak from playing the game. Yes, eventually you'll have to play a game to apply that knowledge, but you can learn from the VOD review. You don't have to experience something 50 or 60 times to finally learn from it. You can watch the VOD review of it and learn from it in there. Every single time I play against something that I don't understand, I watch the VOD back. I don't just keep trying to queue until I land into the same cheese for a second time. That would be dumb. The information, the knowledge is there for me. It's at my disposal. We have a replay system, so I'm going to use it. I'm going to learn what happened, what went wrong. Why did this one thing happen that I didn't understand? I'm going to learn from it, and then I'm going to try and figure out a solution going forward. Finally, if there's something that I don't understand, and no matter how many times I look past it in my own VOD, I can't understand it, I'm just going to go to an outside source for more information. For me, usually that means talking to another challenger player. This might be a one trick that I play against their champion, I don't understand the weaknesses, or it might be the person I just played against. However, my knowledge base at this point is pretty huge. I know almost every single mechanic in the game, and while I'll admit I don't know everything about the game, I'm pretty close. I've played the game for 10 years and I constantly watch VODs over and over again. It's literally my job. I'm constantly looking through replays to find strategies and develop them for players that are equal to my skill or sometimes even higher. But how did I get to this point? It's by asking players who know. No one player has all the answers, but if I can utilize the players that might know something that I don't, then I can come as close as possible to knowing everything. So how does this apply to you then? I don't expect any of you to have the same knowledge base that I have on the game. That would be ridiculous. I have way more time to put into this game than any of you do. For this reason, you probably don't need to add challenger players and ask them about things. they're also probably not going to add you. That's just the harsh reality of the situation. However, you have a fantastic resource right in front of you. The two best ways to help you understand what you're not understanding in your own VOD reviews is by either getting coaching or by using the free resources that you have right in front of you, YouTube. There are so many educational videos out there for League. It's one of the biggest games out there, and as a result, there are a ton of different companies that make really good content. I've personally put out hundreds of guides just for GameLeap, and I know GameLeap has tons of other content creators as well. And while, of course, I think GameLeap produces the best content because, a lot of it's mine, it might not be the right fit for you. It's important that you find the right fit. Find somebody who explains the game in a way that clicks with you. Some teachers click better with certain students. It's really important to explore as much as possible, get as many opinions as you can. Remember, you're not limited to just watching one person. Absorb as much information as you can from outside sources. This is going to allow you to learn what you're doing wrong in a lot of cases when you can't see it by yourself. Another really good way to figure out what you're doing wrong is just by getting coaching. There's a lot of free coaching out there. You can get it from a friend that's better than you. You could get it from some various diamond player who maybe just wants to practice coaching. You can always look for free coaching. And you know what? If you want somebody who you know is going to give you really quality stuff, then you can always pay for coaching. It's really important to remember that a lot of challenger players have coaches. Anyone playing on a pro team or an amateur team guaranteed has a coach, and a lot of other solo queue players have also worked with coaches in the past as well. It's definitely a very viable choice if you're just looking to improve your play. I know a lot of the other content creators for GameLeap do coaching, myself included, so if that's something you're interested in from GameLeap itself, then make sure to join our Discord and ask around. I can say without a doubt that all of the GameLeap content creators are really high tier players. They know what they're talking about. They've played the game for multiple years, gotten to high rating over and over again. So these guys are high quality. As for other people, I can't say for sure. If this isn't something that you're super invested in, maybe you don't have a set schedule, or you just don't want a one-on-one coaching session, then you can also check out our website, GameLeap.com. There we've got hundreds of guides, all done by challenger players, sorted into a quick and easy to use courses system. We have courses both on the 5 fundamental roles as well as champion specific courses. So if that is something that interests you, then make sure to check us out using the link in the description below. As always, I'm Panther. I hope you learned something valuable, and I will see you in the next one.